So I wonder if you're a bit like me, where in the past I've had times where I was just confused, feeling like God had called me to do something one direction, people of the church telling me something else, things happening around me giving me another direction. And everywhere I look, it's just confusion. Something that I've learned from that and what God has spoken to me in the past is it's from 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion, but peace. And I think this verse is very poignant, and I think this verse really just kind of shows us what the character of God is. Now, this verse is smack bang in the middle of Paul turning around and telling the people at Corinth how they are to operate in the church, how they are to use the gifts of the Spirit within the church, and what the boundaries of that are. And then he turns around and tells us something amazing about the character of God, that God is not the author of confusion. And when I go through those seasons of where I'm just confused, trying to follow after God, trying with all my might, going, yeah, this is what it has to be. This is the verse, this is the idea that God brings up and puts into my mind, that he is not the author of confusion, but the God of peace. And that's going, if I don't have peace, if I'm just confused, reality is I'm in a spiritual warfare. Some of the different ideas that I'm being told are not from God. So what I do at that point in time is going, okay, let's quiet my soul. Let's spend some time with God and let's just start filtering out which of these ideas were from God and which ones are not. Which ones are the enemy whispering in my ear to cause confusion, to cause division, to get me off track, to get me busy, to get me distracted from what it is that God is really calling me to. A book that I read a long time ago, it had this beautiful conversation in it that just made it all make sense to me. And what it was is somebody was asking, going, oh, how do I know when it's God speaking or when it's my mind or my heart leading me astray? Because we know that we're told in Proverbs that our heart is, and I'll put the reference up to see if it was Proverbs, that our heart are desperately wicked, that our hearts are deceitful. So with that, our hearts can lead us astray. So what this paragraph in this book was saying was, when you're seeing all these different thoughts, just sit still and listen to what they're saying. Because as you're sitting there, they're going to quiet down. So at first, they might start off being like 10 different voices or more, 10 different ideas or more, but then they're going to slowly come down, and they'll come down to just being the two. One of them is what God's speaking to you. One of them's what the enemy's whispering in your ear to try and confuse you. And it's going, well, then once it's down to two, how do I know which one's God and which one's the enemy? And what was written in the book next was, keep listening to them, because all of a sudden, one of them is going to hit a bung node. All of a sudden, one of them is not going to speak truth. And then at that moment, you're going to know which one is the enemy and which one is God directing and God guiding. I know for me, a lot of the time, it's like I want a roadmap. I want the whole street directory so I know I'm here and this is the path that I've got to take to get to where I want to be. And God's like, no, trust me. Trust my guiding hand. Because he says that he guides our step. He's a light unto our path. He guides and directs us each step of the way. We've just got to be walking and trust that He's going to redirect our steps. So that's where confusion comes in at different times, because it's like, I want to get up here, but I'm over here and I don't see how that path is going to connect. I don't see how I'm going to get there. And our hearts lead us astray because we may want something and God's like, that's not what I want for you. That's not what's best for you. We often want whatever it is that we're wanting because, like, I am outside of time. I can see the beginning of the end. I know where that path is going to lead you, and it's not going to lead you to where you want. And this is where often we can have confusion come in because we're like, oh, I'm confused on what to do. I want to follow God's will, but what is God's will? As it says here, God is not the author of confusion, but the God of peace. So if we're sitting there in confusion, it is a spiritual attack. And at that point in time, it's time to put on the armor of God. It is time to put on the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, the belt of truth, to shod our feet in the gospel of the preparation of truth, to pick up the sword of the Spirit. Because when we put on that armor of God, confusion is going to disappear and we're going to see clearly. We're going to see through the path and go, okay, God, I hear what you're speaking to me. I know what direction, I know what to take for the next step. And I'm going to adjust my path to realign off this path of confusion and on to your path of peace. So I hope this little devotion has given you a bit of encouragement to say, hey, when you're confused, you're not the only one that goes through that, not the only one at all, but there is a way to redirect your heart, to redirect your thoughts, redirect your mind, to get off the path of confusion, to go, okay, God, you're the God of peace. And that's what I want to seek. I want to seek out having peace, the peace that passes understanding, that I know that I'm on the path following you.